Okay, 200 TDi injector. I'm going to show you here how to basically strip it down. It's quite simple enough to do, and just give it a cleaning out and putting it back together again. This is really just to make sure that there's no crud in there and there's actually the holes that aren't blocked, on the end here. I've already cleaned this one up with a wire brush, just a brass wire brush on the end. Just gently over it, and then I've got a screwdriver just on here to remove any really hard crud, but go very careful on there because you don't want to be damaging these tiny little holes on there. Not sure if you can actually see that in there on the camera light, but there's a row of tiny little holes around here, and you don't really want to damage them because that will damage the spray pattern, and basically you'll need a new nozzle. So now we'll stick it in a vise. First of all, take this washer off. That's the sealing washer. Just put that to one side. Now, as you take this apart, you want to keep everything in order. So now you want to put it in a vise on the flat edges only, not on the round. Tighten it up. No need to over tighten it, just so long as it's actually secure in the vise and isn't going to move. 15mm spanner on the top there. You will find that they are tight. I've got a little copper bar that I put on the end as well. Get hold of everything and really give it some twist. You might have heard that crack there. As you undo this, a whole load of carbon will release itself now at the top. Let's bring a bit more light onto that. Maybe you'll see that better there. Big lumps of carbon just sitting around the top here. Anyhow, put it back in the vise. And what I've been doing is just loosening it off and give it a blast with the airline to get rid of it. That's cleared all the carbon out of the way. Now you should find that this is more or less just finger tight. Once it's finger tight, get it laid out on your desk here. Let's move the camera around now so that you can actually see what's going on here. Hopefully. So undo this, undo the nut on the end. Most importantly thing now is to keep everything in order. Now then, you should be able to see that. That's quite black, cruddy, oily, manky, and there's oil running out of this one here. All sorts of crud. You can't see it on the camera here, but just here I've got a little Fragrantos tray with some injector cleaner, or it's called CT60. It's a diesel additive to help clean your injectors. You can also use, which I do use as well, let's go and get it. Brake and clutch cleaner, as you can see there. Brilliant stuff that as well. So if you get any stubborn bits really, that's the stuff to use. That's brake and clutch cleaner. But this CT60 works just as well. Looking at this nozzle now, you see all the crud. There's a lot of oil and everything on it. So what I do now is carefully there on the end, just give it a little shake. It should just drop out, but that's the needle. If that's stuck in there in any way, then obviously there's something amiss. But that should just drop out with a little shake, maybe a little tap on the bench, to get it going. But this outer casing now, the nozzle, I'm just going to leave in the CT60 while we're fiddling around with all the other bits. Let that soak in there. The needle, a little bit of a shake in there. Give it a wipe around with your fingers. And same again. And you should be able to see that now. See, it's a little bit dark on the end. I mean, these injectors have probably done about 60-70,000 miles, I'm guessing. The engine they've came out of was actually a recon engine, but who knows when the injectors went in or whether they've been changed through their life. You know what I mean? There's no telling really on a second-hand engine unless you know the full history of it. But we'll just assume that these were new injectors when the engine was put in the vehicle, and it's done around about 60,000 miles, so I was told. Anyway, that's your first bit that you need to lay out in line there. Keep it in line. And there's your washer on that end. And we know that the nozzle is going to lay there with the needle. But we'll leave that soaking. That's the most important bit there at the minute. So now taking this apart, just gently ease that off. As you notice on there, there's 2 pins in there. They're offset to the centre. There's no mistaking on which way round that goes back in. It will only go back in one way. The centrepiece is like a little dowel. And just lay that there next to your needle. You can give that a little rinse in there. And there's also a hole in this, which needs to be free. Clear, absolutely clear. Not sure whether I'm going to be able to hold that at the right angle for you to see whether it's through, but it's this hole at the top that you can see. And what you want to do with that is get the airline, get it away from all your other little bits and bobs, and literally just give it a little blast. Now I can see straight through that hole. I'm not sure whether I can get it at the right angle. There, I think. There, you can see straight through it now. Nice and clear. No worries there then. There's basically no other crud around this this part here. But we'll give it another little rinse in the CT60. Lay it out again in order. That will only go back in one way. Now when you look in the end here, look, you got the needle. You got to look at, well, like a long rod. Just take the rod out, give it a little rinse, lay it out in order. The rest of it, you want to be a little bit careful now. Get a screwdriver, just fits in the hole nicely. Just lift out that piece here. This piece here, that is a washer, and you will find it stuck on the top of that there. Literally just get hold of it and pull it apart. See that? That was stuck on there like that. So just pull them two apart. Same again. Lay them down in order, so you know what's what. Now there's a spring inside here now. There it goes. Just tip it up and it'll drop out. Behind that spring is another little dowel bit. Now this one, well, you've got a washer with a hole in. And again, another little dowel with an indent in the top. If I can get that round again, show you. Little indent in the top, and that's where that rod sits in the top there. Most important, that bit goes back in the same way. Lay that again in order there. Pull the spring out, another spring. Get that a rinsing off. Basically this one here is quite clean, to be honest, compared to the other three that I've done previous. This is my fourth and last injector that I'm cleaning, so now I pretty much know, you know what I mean, what goes where. So now then, inside this hole here, right at the very bottom, is another little washer. Give it a little tap. It's not come out. Get a bit of juice in there. CT60. Let it run out the holes because you don't want it everywhere. There it comes. It's out. Tiny little washer with a hole in it there. Same again. Leave that in order. Now, This bit I put in the CT60, give it a little floating and a rummaging around in there. Lift it up, let the juices there flow. You run out of the hole. Needs to run out of that bottom hole there, which you will see if you turn it up like that. You can see it running out. It also runs out of the return hole here. Now then, there's nothing else in this part here for it to you know, nothing else can sort of fall out of it, pop out of it, drop out, lose anything. What do you want to do though? Just dry my hands off a bit. Let's get the airline, move it away from all your other little bits and pieces that are laying out. The last thing you want to do now is actually blow them away. So I'll move over here and get that blasting in that hole, which is where the pipe screws up, which is forward flow. I'm going to try and get it on camera, because on that end you'll see 3 holes. 2 of them is the dowel, where that other section here, this piece sits in. That sits in there in them holes there like that. And that hole there at the top, you'll see, marries up with the hole there. That hole there, if you get some fluid inside this, try and get it with a camera view. Just drain off any excess, don't need all of it. You'll see it anyway. If I hold it over here, you should see it blasting out. Yeah, I could see that on the camera myself there. You'll see it shot straight out of this hole. So the inside of this now, I'll just run the airline through it. And through the return. And reverse through that tiny little hole. And basically there is nice and clean. You know what I mean? All the holes are free. If you get the light right, you can look down this hole here and you'll see on the bottom there that it is actually clean. This, as I said before, this injector was quite clean. So yeah, that looks nice and looks nice in there. I'll just get that cleaning off again now. There we go. Even the outside's quite clean on this one. There is talk of people cleaning these or using these on ultrasonic jewellery cleaners. So if you've got access to one of them, you can chuck all your bits in, as long as you remember which bits go where. Obviously, then you know, you can use one of them and bring everything up nice and shiny. But for this demonstration here, you really don't need it. I mean, if you look on that washer there, it looks like it's dirty. It's only where it's marked with the spring. So we'll give everything a little rinsing off. And because this is CT60 injecting cleaner, I don't worry about too much drying everything off and cleaning it. Just so long as there's no crud in there and there's nothing obstructing anything else, then the jobs are good, basically. Give them all a little clean little drain off here on this paper towel. Give my hands a wipe again. So, putting it back together, washer in first. Looking at it, I mean, it'd be nice to put it back in the same way it came up, but dropping it down this hole is no easy feat. So Stick it on the end of the screwdriver for the way round you obviously want it, and you can feel that when you push that in there. Turn it upside down, let it drop. Just check under the light, which I can see. You're not going to see that on the camera there, but take it from me, it's the right way up. Spring is now nice and clean. Let's give it another little rinse off, get any fluff off it. Drop that back in. Little dowel piece. And again, final rinse. Rub it on the paper towel, dry it off. Now this is the bit which you can't really put a screwdriver on, but just hold everything upright. Hold it with a pointy bit pointing down and just let go of it. It's guaranteed to drop the wrong way up. I did try dropping it down there with the pointy bit up, but it still dropped and landed with the pointy bit up. So as you see, stick a screwdriver in there and just turn it over. Simple as that. Next I found was put this pin in rather than these bits here first. Drop the pin in, because once you've got the pin in the little indentation, you can then drop the washer in. Make sure it went back in the same way up, and because the pin's there, it will drop straight down. Same with the spring. Drop that in, and this end cap. Get that a little clean. A little bit of fluff on there. Rub it over the top. Little washer over the top. Then this section here. Already blown the little hole out on that. We know it's clean. It will only go on one way. You can't get this wrong. And it'll go on there. There we go. Find the little holes. Ooh, this one will be fiddling out. There we go, finally. Get it around the right way. Let's see if I can make sure you see that there. You can see the angle of the holes, all of the holes, and they're all the same way. And that literally just drops in. Pop the bubble. And then, another last piece. Can only go on one way. Job's a good one with that. Now then, just lay that down. We'll come back to that, because this is the bit that we need to clean up properly now. The nozzle. Now what I've done, got a very fine needle here, and I can see the holes. You might not be able to see them on the camera there, but literally not too much pressure, but just poke it in the hole, give it a little wiggle, just to make sure that there's nothing sort of stuck in there. Right, so you're pushing it backwards to the normal flow. And again, there's several of them actually on the little nipple bit sticking up and further down, more on the flatter edge. Just give them all a little wiggle there, just to free off anything, just in case there's anything there. And then the first blow I do on this is through them holes, so it blows everything out the back end here. You don't want to be blowing it in, because all you'll do is make whatever's in there stuck in there even further. So give that a good blast. Fill it up again with some more CT60. If you hold it now, you can see that dripping. That is actually dripping out them holes. Put it in the back end, and it's just weeping out the little holes, which is a good sign. So give it another try. Fill it up again with some CT60. You can see it dripping away. Now there's two blasting bits you want to do here. First one I did was through the main big hole in the centre there. So we'll do that. Hopefully you might just catch this on camera under the light. If I turn the light off a bit so that it catches it. Let's get a bit more stuff in there. You should see the spray pattern. Are you ready? That's good, wasn't it? Now you'd have seen that. I'm looking at the holes. Obviously don't point it in the direction up your nose or in your eyes or anything like that. I'm actually wearing glasses here, so a little bit of protection. I suppose really you should be wearing goggles or whatever. Now then, around this edge here with my nail, just get your screwdriver and just scrape away any more bits of heavy carbon there. You want a nice clean surface here really, because this bit sits inside the sleeve that holds the nozzle on. I'm not sure if you can actually see all the crud lifting up there, the carbon. You really don't want any lumps of carbon sitting on it, because nothing will seat right. Just caught my needle then, pinged up in the air. There we go. Got another clean in there, and around this edge here. Not too much around there though, there ain't. But the most important piece is at them nozzles there. They're the bits, and you see it all shoot out of there, so there's obviously no crud in there. Now after giving it a final clean, getting rid of all that crud around that edge there, that's looking clean enough. You've got two holes here which are offset to centre, and that one hole at the top there, that's where you want to stick the airline again, is through there. And if you can, just put your thumb over that big hole, because any fluid that's in there now, and what you should see again is that blowout on the spray pan. Should have seen that. I'll do it one more time, because that really is where your fuel will be going through down that little hole and down to your nozzle. Just watch gently again. See it all shooting out the nozzles. That's good. It's quite convinced now then that they're free. Needle, just back in that hole. Bugger. That's my Jenny just started, and you probably won't hear me now, so I'll stop this and get back to you. So I'm back with you now. That's my compressor, just filled itself up with air again. So we're now back to this. So while that's been filling up with air, actually I've been just getting some fluid in this and blowing it through, just giving it a right good cleaning out, you know, inside, just making sure. Needle goes in the top there. Nice firm fit. Should be tight, because you should be able to just knock it out and it'll be there sticking out again. You can get hold of it. In and out. Easy as that. So now we're back to this. Just make sure there's no crud sitting on top of there, because this flush fits flush, very flush with that. That's looking nice and clean. It will only go on one way, which is that way round, like that. Just lay that down, because the next bit you really want to make sure it's clean. There's the cap down inside this hole here. which is where the carbon buildup was. So just get it on the bench or run your screwdriver around it and just make sure there's nothing heavy sitting there. It'll be more so inside the hole here. So give that a good old scraping around. You won't find there'll be a great deal in there because most of it came off in sort of big chunks when we undid it. So you can see that on the screwdriver there now. In that CC60 again, clean it off. Give it another good scrape in there. Clean it off. Give it a wipe with a towel. Shove that down in the hole there. Yeah, it looks quite clean, to be honest. Give that a good scrubbing around there again. Just cleaned everything out. Nice and clean in there. Give it a blow with the airline. Just blew my gas fire out. Anyway, so that's clean. Just make sure this nozzle is sitting on here. You'll notice it doesn't sit completely flush because when you do it up, it actually pushes down on that spring. I'm not sure if I can do that. Very tight. Very tight on that spring. Drop this over the top. Turn it anti-clockwise. Nice and gently. Until you feel the threads. There we go. Just feel the threads drop and it screws on so nice and easy like that, finger tight, literally. You'll feel it tighten up and you can then turn it by hand. Good grip. Now it's solid. Good and solid. That's really tight now. And then back in the vise. Now remember, these were really tight, but just a little pull on it. Don't overdo it. You'll feel it. You can do it by feel. You'll feel it when it doesn't want to go anymore. Job's a good one. Ready to go back in. Not forgetting, of course, the washer. However, what you really should do is have these tested. So you want to go down to your local diesel fitter, get them and put them on a proper testing machine, and they'll give you a printout of how the spray pattern is, you know, pressures, etc., etc., just to make sure that nothing's weakened inside, because them springs inside could, of course, weaken over time. Now, like I said, these have done around about 60,000 miles, and the book says they're good for 60,000 miles and should be replaced after that. But we'll see how these run. I'm going to put these back in my 200 TDi and hopefully it'll fire up. Right, I've got it all back together now after cleaning out the glow plugs. I'm a bit annoyed with myself because I've lost two the little copper washers which is on the return pipe bits here. You know, you get a copper washer go either side of the union there, and I've lost two of them. Bloody two. Can't believe I've lost two. They were up here on the bonnet, but on the bulkhead line, but I don't know where they've gone. Ain't got a clue. But for now, I've just bolted it up, sort of tightish. I hope it sort of seals everything up, really. The engine's looking very shiny because it's covered in fuel everywhere. So I want a good jet wash. But this is the moment of truth. I'm just hoping I've put it all together and it's going to fire up. So let's go for it. Oh, what do you know? Look at that. Oh, I'm more than happy with that. More than happy with that. Blimey. This bit of wood here is my choke, or rather my high revving. I just wedge it under there, it's just the right length, just to bring the revs up a bit. I'll leave it on there for a bit, warm it up.